Welcome to Outkick the Tailgate, presented by Farmfolio. We are live in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's the biggest college football game of the weekend. Ole Miss at Alabama. Jill Savage, Jonathan Hutton. We're missing one.
We're missing Chad. Chad is on a bachelor party in Scottsdale, Arizona. This has been a well-planned trip for Chad Withrow, and he misses the biggest college football game on tour so far with Outkick and Fox.
Serves him right.
Yeah, but I think he's doing okay.
He is.
He's doing okay. He picks up with us next week in College Station, but he misses a great game today with Alabama and Ole Miss.
We checked in with him last night. He's still alive and well. No rattlesnakes have gotten him yet down there in Scottsdale. But, yeah, you're mentioning it. Ole Miss, Bama. We look at this game. This is one of those games that everybody has circled on their calendars.
Yeah, and for good reason. Look, I mean, this was a top game last year with Ole Miss, and they tied 42-all in the fourth quarter. Shootout. Over-under, 80 points is what people are expecting today. The question is, does it go way over that or way under that as we get to Bryant-Denny Stadium later this afternoon? So what does Lane Kiffin have in store for Nick Saban with the week to prepare?
Well, Lane Kiffin last week, they had a bye. Ole Miss didn't play last week, and he was trying to go out and say, shh, everybody, it's okay. Alabama, they have weaknesses. Don't worry. You don't need to be pointing them out. You don't need to be giving Nick Saban any more ammo. I feel like this is a game that Nick Saban, he always is that guy that will come out and try and motivate his team, right? And those non-conference games, we always see him like, oh, this group needs to do well, or this group is underperforming, and he motivates his guys. Saban doesn't have to do any of that this week. He can just stay silent because all the national media is doing it for him.
Yeah, they're doing all the talking because of the expectation for how close this game should be. Keep in mind it was, 63-48 last year. That was the second closest game for the Tide on their run to the championship. Whenever they played Florida, that was the closest game in the SEC title game. Second closest was Ole Miss in the regular season. So that gets the attention of Alabama because that's a close game for the Tide, right? The spread is 14.5. It's been that about all week. It opened up 21, moved to 14, and stuck there. That should grab Alabama's attention. And look, they know what happened last year. They know what this offense is capable of. And we know what dual threat quarterbacks can do against Alabama's defense.
When you look at the Ole Miss defense, there has been so much talk. The Ole Miss defense is significantly better, right? This is what we keep hearing over and over again. I'll give them that they are better. You can see that they're better. But are they good enough now to go on the road at a number one team and get it done?
Well, that's the question. Can they find one or two more stops than what they did a year ago? Kiffin said last year that he felt like every time his offense had the football, they had to go get touchdowns because they were allowing yards and touchdowns and time of possession. Maybe he doesn't feel that way as much. The win after Louisville in week 1, he was quick to point out the defense in that route more than he was his offense and his great quarterback in Matt Corral. So I think he believes more in his defense. This was a adequate Ole Miss defense. This is not some great leap into the tops of the SEC by any means, but it's significantly improved over last year. And that could get them over the top in a game like today, even if it is on the road. I'm not going that far. Jill, we'll have our picks later in the show. I do think it is a great game today, though, this afternoon here in Tuscaloosa.
We're going to be breaking down this game all day long. We're going to have Glenn Guilbeau, the Outkick SEC writer, coming and joining us. Jay Barker, the former Bama quarterback, will be here on set with us in hour number 2. And in hour number 3, Lance Taylor will join us to help break down all of Ole Miss, Alabama. But there is one other really big game in the SEC that we need to touch on, and that is Arkansas at Georgia. It's a big one. I think that everybody's looking at it and saying, okay, Arkansas, you had your fun. That was a good first 4 weeks, but now it's your real test.
Yeah, two things come to mind. First, we get to see KJ Jefferson on display, and I hope he's healthy with the bruised knee and everything's okay there. Because if he is, I am all over Arkansas on the points in this. 18.5 against Georgia. But on this flip side of this, Jill, this is also, to me, where Georgia proves they are really elite, like the class above everyone else in the East and West other than Alabama. We had the discussion last week. Do we think there's an unbeaten team in the SEC? I said there's 2 at the end of the year when they meet for the SEC title, Alabama and Georgia. Can Arkansas spring the upset and keep this game close? To me, 4-0, they've won every game by double digits. This is a different animal today in Athens that Arkansas goes against. You're a believer, though, in your newly found team, the Razorbacks.
Yeah, so we had the SEC tour, the bus tour. We took it to Fayetteville. That was my first stop on the tour. I know you guys started in Knoxville. I joined in Fayetteville. So there is a certain kinship, if you will, for the Arkansas fan base. They were great. They treated us so well. And I feel like it's one of those bandwagons that was so easy to jump on because we liked the people. We liked the team. Sam Pittman had a great turnaround in that program. So for me, I am a believer. It has been fun. I don't know if I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they're going to go in and beat Georgia in Athens today, but I will say I really like this team and what they've been able to do.
Well, and now they face Georgia, who's allowing like 5.3 points per game defensively. I mean, just a different standard and different depth. And I think that ultimately that could be what shows up today for both Alabama and Georgia is the depth of both of these rosters, because Arkansas and Ole Miss are two quality teams. But to me, there's a different level in the SEC with Alabama and Georgia. You need some things to go your way. Kiffin has been preaching that. Pittman certainly needs that as well on the road. And here's Arkansas, who really goes in with nothing to lose. 2 years ago, they lost to Western Kentucky and their coach was fired. And now the complete turnaround, it's been an about face, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. There's a style of game today where you leave thinking Arkansas got to win, even with a loss, with how they play in Athens, because it'll show a lot about their moxie.
And you look at the games last week that both teams played. We were there at Georgia Vandy in Nashville, your hometown, last week, and it felt like Georgia had a bye week while playing a game.
Yes.
And you look at Arkansas, and they were beaten up by Texas A&M. They aren't coming in 100% healthy, just like Georgia was able to get healthy against Vandy.
Right, and consider that Georgia's already played 2 SEC opponents in South Carolina and Vandy and Clemson. And yet we're still talking about where they are in the pecking order of all this. So, whenever we started the season and Georgia won that tight game in Charlotte, Outkick in the bus, and Clay was there, we were discussing, okay, look at the schedule after Clemson for Georgia. They'll be in Atlanta for the SEC title. How quickly things have turned, because this is a bigger test now on paper going into week 5 than what Clemson gave Georgia in week 1. Arkansas presents that for them based on what they've produced so far. I can't wait to see it. The spread is very large for a reason. I think they're giving way too much respect to Georgia. I would love Arkansas on the points today, but I don't see Arkansas winning in Athens.
Do you